Hello and welcome to another 284 Media featured interview. I'm your host, Jhaka Wooding Donovan, and today I am joined in the building by newly elected Deputy Chairman of the National Democratic Party and representative for the 2nd District, Honorable Melvin Mitch Turnbull. We have a lot to discuss with him after this quick break.
We mash the gas, them bite the dust. We set the speed while they gathering rust. Inside we heart BVI come first. So please don't be fooled cause they not like us.
Once we mash the gas, them bite the dust. Cause we always fast and we always fuss. If you want real speed, you know who to trust. Somebody better tell them they're not like who? They're not like us. CCT fast, like CCT fast, like CCT just generosity, love the community bad, like CCT fast with the 5G. Cause BVI is we.
Across the Virgin Islands, drivers have trusted VI Motors for generations. For 60 years, we've delivered dependable transportation, expert repairs, and quality parts, all under one roof. As a proud Napa franchise, our parts department carries leading brands like PPG Paints, Magic Accessories, Top Don Diagnostics Tools, Westlake and Goodyear Tires, plus reliable LTH batteries. Everything your vehicle needs to perform at its best. Our expert service department handles maintenance, diagnostics, and repairs you can rely on. And our vehicle sales team offers trusted Toyota and Honda vehicles built for island life. We proudly serve you at 2 locations, our flagship store in Dove's Bottom, Tortola, and our location on Virgin Gorda. From parts to service to sales, we're committed to you every step of the way. VI Motors, service beyond the call, serving the Virgin Islands for 60 years.
Welcome back and thank you so much for staying with us. And of course, Honorable Turnbull, thank you so much for making the time to be here with us today.
Thank you, Jhaka, and it is a pleasure to be here. To the people of the Virgin Islands, I say greetings to you. To the people of the 2nd Electoral District, the best people in the world, I say thank you again for your confidence and trust in me as district representative. It's my pleasure to be here. A lot has happened since the last time we've been here. I want to say thank you and appreciation to the National Democratic Party for welcoming me back home, as well as the delegates and the supporters who put their trust and confidence in me to elect me to support Honorable Marlon Penn as the chairman of the National Democratic Party as deputy chair. There's a lot to do. There's a lot that we're excited to present and deliver for the people of the Virgin Islands, and I am just elated to be here at this time, serving the people first of the Virgin Islands.
What would you say your immediate priorities are as Deputy Chairman?
The immediate priorities are to ensure that we allow the people of the Virgin Islands to know that we heard them, that we answered the call. They called for us 2 election cycles before to come back together. We made that decision after some teeth and pains, after hitting our head against a wall. But now we realize that we are indeed stronger together. We are indeed stronger when we are united. And I believe that is what, for me, just to show that we are back. The NDP is going to be rebranded. It's going to be a different feel and a different look to the party, in terms of the young people, in terms of our supporters, in terms of the things that we plan to do for the people of the Virgin Islands. We don't plan to spend a lot of time talking about what's wrong in the country, but solutions, water and the roads and the things that we have been lamented on, the people are lamenting on for years and years. We're just going to put a strategic plan in place to how we're going to fix them, when we're going to fix them, and move on to things that can elevate the overall living and way of life for the people of the territory. Our seniors are struggling with making ends meet and being able to take care of themselves and be comfortable in their golden years. The children, on the other hand, are struggling with understanding a career path. How do they get to where they want to get to? The young professionals can't find an opportunity to be a part of this territory. There's too many blockades, there's too many bureaucracies, there's too many things that are not working, Jhaka, and I believe as the deputy chairman, I'm excited. I'm excited to support Honorable Penn. I'm excited to stand with this party, with the people of the Virgin Islands, to bring about this necessary change, because we have been stagnant almost to a standstill for the last 4 to 8 years.
Over the time you've been in politics, you've been able to gain significant experience. You have a pretty impressive political history so far. But of course, a lot of people still see you as a young face in politics in the Virgin Islands. Being a representative, and I know you do have a history as a youth pastor, a lot of time engaging with the youth, do you see yourself creating more pathways for young people to get involved in politics in the Virgin Islands?
Well, to the people that still see me as young and still think I look young, I say thank you. That's important, but what is more important, it's not just about you. I am 46 years old. I'm not afraid to share it, but 46 years old with years of experience, 11 and a half years now being elected to the 2nd District by the people of that community. My background is in finance and business management, insurance, investments. I've spent time in the House of Assembly under the leadership of Dr. Orlando Smith, under the mentorship of persons like Ronnie Skelton and Dolores Christopher. I've spent time even as a minister during the most difficult time, a critical time of this country's history, in my estimation, when our Constitution was going to be suspended as a part of the unity government. I've spent time in the backbench. I understand what it means to be a member of the House. I understand the rule. I understand the Constitution. I understand the standing orders. But more so, I understand how to stay connected with the people of the Virgin Islands to ensure that their voices are heard. In my community in the 2nd District, there are things that affect the 2nd District community much more than some other communities. Like, I will tell you this, I have the worst pista road in the history of the Virgin Islands, from Agape all the way to Rudy's, that I now see that they're moving with haste to address. But those are things that shouldn't be, because when you come out of Road Town or Beef Island, you make it to the 2nd District, to the tourism hub of Tortola, which is King Gardame and Bruce Bay. How are you comfortable bringing persons and driving on those roads that are dangerous, but not just for the tourists? What about the people that live here? What about the people that contribute in every single month out of the paycheck, taxes to this country? Is that enough? Is that satisfactory? Communities that talk about having water or the lack of water, King Gardame, for example, I use that community. Just Van Dyke, the entire island, has continued to be without water 3 weeks out of any given month, even the heightened tourist season. But those are things that, because there's no plan, we could have as much money as we want in the budget. I think that the trouble and the struggle is, and continues to be, there's no plan. And there's no plan of execution to get these things done. So you could have all the money in the world. You could talk about how much money you're going to spend, and the fact that you want to spend all of it, but without a plan, then you're just being reckless and careless. And I believe, for me, it is, if you build and take care of the thing in each district and each community and hear the cries of the people, then you'll be able to rise the tide for the BVI.
I would imagine there's a lot of conversation that takes place both in the House of Assembly, around the House of Assembly, outside the House of Assembly, with you engaging with government officials in terms of trying to get these issues addressed. What's been the tone of those conversations?
Well, I'll say it this way. I've started where, I would be lamenting on beckoning and begging and making noise on behalf of the people. I've moved to a little bit more quiet tone. But what I think has been more successful of late is I write and I document. For example, the Minister of Communication and Works and the team at Public Works, on August 25th, 2025, I wrote to them about installing, I think it's about 15 speed bumps in different areas of my community. To date, not one sign has been put up to state that these speed bumps are going to be implemented in this area. Asphalt is being thrown and put all over the roads of the BVI. But for safety in communities that have children, communities that have senior citizens that have to come out to their house and cross the street sometimes to go to the garbage can or visit a neighbor or visit a family member. Those communities where persons with the motor vehicles are becoming more, I would say, adrenaline savvy in terms of the way they drive, but more reckless in terms. People are asking for this in my communities. We've had community, and August 25th, it is almost August 2026. Nothing has been done. So for me, I write and I document and I just remind you, Minister, this has been documented and stated on this day. We have this situation, we need it to be addressed, and I just keep it in front of the people. I have district community meetings coming up on next week, and I plan to give the people an update based on the documentation that they have sent me with from the last meeting in January to now of what has happened and what has not happened. We've had the ministers, some of them, the Minister of Communication and Works came and joined me at one of the meetings, and I'm just gonna hold them to account and have the people hold them to account, because for me, I don't mind the taking pictures on a paved road, and I don't mind building this building and celebrating, but what are you doing to effect change and bring about comfort and bring about this sense that you understand and you are listening to the needs and addressing the needs of the people on a daily basis? Until you do that, you could build as much buildings if you want, you could do as much openings as you want, but if you're not touching the needs of the people, what affects their heart, what affects their mind, what affects their pocket, then you're not leading, you're just running your own show.
You would have touched on this a bit earlier in the conversation in regards to the roads in King Garden Bay and the significance of King Garden Bay as a tourism center for the territory. We know that tourism is one of the pillars of the Virgin Islands economy, and of course we hear a lot from the government in terms of the numbers that come out of the cruise ship visitors, etc., and a lot of them head to King Garden Bay, funny enough. Yes. How well would you say that aligns with the realities and the on-the-ground experience of not just the tourists in King Garden Bay and the taxi operators, but the residents? I mean, most recently we had Pops Klein making his concerns known about that hole, I think you called it an Olympic-sized swimming pool, yes, outside of his residence. How well would you say the government's narrative on tourism aligns with the realities in your district?
It doesn't. It doesn't, because they are disconnected. What is troubling, though, is that it doesn't seem that anything of that nature affects them until somebody calls and embarrasses them. Because you're a government minister responsible for ministries and departments. You have persons that live in the community. I live in the community for which I represent. I drive through, I make calls, I call public works, I call education, I call health, I call the Minister of Finance and Tourism responsible. We have these conversations, but nothing seems to be a priority until it's brought to the front street. And then 2 days ago, that same hole only then was addressed and patched up. Was it done properly? No, it was just asphalt thrown on it. So if it rains again a couple more times, it'll be open again. But that's King Garden Bay. Let's look at Just Van Dyke. Tourism hub, again, on this western side or northern side of the BVI. What are we doing? What is the infrastructure over there? Water and sewage department. 1 employee. I have written, me personally, have written recommendation letter or reference letter to hire persons. Mr. Selu Shinnery is a plumber by profession. He spends more time out of his own love for his community, fixing and working alongside Mr. Liston Graham, who's hired by Water and Sewage to fix the water infrastructure on Just Van Dyke with no pay, no recommendation, no recognition for it. I said, give this man a contract. Mr. Cecil Shinnery over there, who retired, allow Cecil to come back as a contract employee or as a consultant. He lives there. Let him work to get the things done on there. But then, Jhaka, that's in my community. let's go bigger to the wider BVI. Every single community have the same concerns. The roads are bad, water is bad, people are having challenges with healthcare. Students are, I spoke to a young man yesterday that he's interested in going off to school, but the opportunities for him to be provided a scholarship or provided an opportunity that he could further his education, because he's like, I don't want to go back and I don't want to work anyplace else. I want to work here because there's so much that can be done in the technology space. I want this opportunity, but I'm getting a roadblock everywhere I go. So there's so many things that unless you are in, quote unquote, that inner circle that or a supporter of the government, then you don't get taken care of, you don't get looked at. But how can you build a country? How can you build communities? How can you build a territory like that when you're only focused on what you can see? Or if somebody's against you or speaks up against you, then you become the arch enemy. In order to build this BVI, we have to go back to the basics. The basics simply said, if you educate your people and provide opportunities for them to thrive, then the BVI will become a better place. Business opportunity for the young persons, and I always will celebrate them. The business community right now in the BVI has a good cross-section of young people operating businesses. What are we doing to help support them? Where is the Trade Department ensuring that we are checking on these businesses and ensure that, you know, while you might open a business and you have a good year, your second year might be, what is being done to guide these businesses along to ensure the relationship with the banks and these businesses? What courses are being provided to ensure that this continues? Let's go to our athletes. Every year, we celebrate 1 or 3 or 5 athletes. Go over to the infrastructure, track and field. There's more sinkholes on the track, but we're providing top athletes. The track has not been covered in how many years, but every single time our athletes go, we go with an entourage of people. We spend a whole lot of money every single year for the last 4 or 6 years to travel when you could fix the infrastructure on the track. The high jump bed, depends on where you fall on it, is like falling on concrete. So these are the things that if we're paying attention to, then it's easier for more to be produced. You go at the gym, the multipurpose gym. How long is the court going to remain like that? How many more Demoy Hodges and Steve Papillons and Jason Edwin and Kennedy Basses, how many more of them we need to see come up before we actually pay attention to it and not just let 1 or 2 become successful that we are celebrating them. But why are we not creating a pool, a team of at least 10 to 15 athletes every year coming from the BVI, going out and excelling? Adeja Hodges is doing amazing, but she's doing amazing because she loves what she's doing. But there were so many young persons here in the territory, so many young girls, young females in the territory that are looking up to Adeja Hodges. Why are we not creating an environment that you just spitting out these potentials? Because we're not concerned, we're not paying attention to what is actually going on. We're more concerned about the prestige and the power that we have rather than representing the purpose of the people we serve.
I'm glad you touched on healthcare while you were speaking. There was recently a situation with the nurses apparently calling in sick to the point where community centers had to be closed. When it came to our attention, the first area to come to our attention was US Van Dyke, where we know that the clinic had to have been closed for about 2 days while they were undergoing their accreditation processes as well. Were you aware of that situation, and what came about?
I became aware of the situation. I'm very much a part of my community. It's unfortunate. If I go back to 2017, after the hurricanes of 2017, it was Kenny Chesney and his team, the people of Just Van Dyke, Mr. Kurt Richardson and his team that helped to rebuild the Just Van Dyke clinic. You have a nurse that is on Just Van Dyke, I think is 3 days on, 3 days off, and then another one that comes there. The conditions, however, are not conducive for healthcare. In an island that brings in any given tourist season, over 150,000 people, it's just not conducive. And what you have is a community that are saying, this is not enough. We got an ambulance. I don't believe anybody has been fully trained to operate that ambulance for the island. So you got an ambulance. It's just sitting there right now. Mr. Lesmo Smith, I want to congratulate him and his family for what they've donated. But to have a clinic closed for 2 days because the nurses and the staff are saying, listen, this is not enough. We've been complaining, and God bless her commitment, that Dr. Natasha Frett, who tries her utmost best to ensure that things are met. But if you have your staff complaining and you're not getting the results for them, then that sick out should never have been the case. But the nurses and doctors are saying, listen, enough is enough. We are to a place where we have been given, between NHI and the HSA, about $40 million a year, $41 million a year. But what does that mean in a society where the amount of aging and healthcare illnesses continue to increase? So you give $40 million a year. NHI, since 2016, since its launch, has a strategic and a set cart of items that they cover. It has not been reviewed or amended since 2016. This is 2026. You understand what I'm saying? There are so many different illnesses that are happening and happening more rapidly because our people are living longer, but our healthcare system is not increased the amount of capital to the system, nor has it increased the amount of money that we're paying our nurses and doctors. So why would I stay here as a nurse, registered, certified as a doctor, getting $30,000 to $40,000 a year when I could go to the USVI and make 60 to 80? What are we doing? Are we serious about our people? Are we serious about healthcare? Or are we just comfortable saying, oh, NHI is not working and the HSA is this and HSA is that? I have spent the last 2.5, 3 months just about every day this week in the hospital. Well, this year in the hospital, visiting constituents. God rest the souls of those who have passed on, but some of them who going through to get care. And they're all saying, listen, there's so much more that can be done. You listen to the doctors and the nurses. I have one specific nurse that has said to me, Honorable Turnbull, 3 months ago, we need a microwave in emergency. A microwave. I took it to the minister. I said, Minister, a microwave can't cost more than $300-400. Can you ensure that your PS and the team provides this microwave? I go back there last week. Honorable, we still didn't get the microwave. So who cares? Who really cares? And people might say, so Mitch, why don't you just give them the $300? There's a system that is supposed to be working. Fix the system. Do the things that are necessary for the people so that we can bring our healthcare facilities, because bragging about accreditation when after you pass that high mark, the services fall back down, then what are you doing? The morale of your staff are at an all-time low. And you go through the government service on a whole, people are just happy to get a paycheck. There's no love, there's no enthusiasm about serving, about building a BVI, and we have to get to the place. And it falls at the feet of the leadership that we have right now. And I know for a fact that where I'm concerned, I love people because I love serving people. We have to get to the place where people trust, people understand. It's not just about being called a minister, called a premier, called a deputy, not a deputy, but a junior minister. But I'm actually doing something that's going to help the people of this territory. That was a long-winded answer.
But we'll take it. We appreciate the different areas you were able to touch on. I'd like to transition now to a few broader issues in the territory. Minimum wage being the first one. What are your views on the current set minimum wage in the BVI? And do you believe it's sufficient based on the realities of living in the territory?
You're asking me a financial question. And one of the things to understand is economies of scale. So the minimum wage in the BVI is low. The cost for operating business in the BVI is also high. How do we bridge that gap? The study was done to say a suggestive minimum wage increase to, I think it was about $9. The government decided they were going to put it up. Then they pulled it off the table, and then they increased it by, I think, 75 cents or something like that. And people are still struggling. But what is the conversation that you're willing to have with the business to understand what they can afford, as well as the everyday individual or employee who has rent to pay, and they have their school fees to pay, and they have food and groceries to, and all the other healthcare concerns that they have. What is the difference between that and increasing the minimum wage? I will want to make the people, the employees, happy. But if I do that at the cost to the employers of businesses, which you hear the medium businesses, middle class businesses are struggling to keep their doors and businesses open, then what do you say? Who's going to bear that cost? It's going to come right back on the same people. So there has to be a clear understanding of what we want to do. And here's the thing. Government has a role to play. And here's government's role. Wherever there's a shortfall, that's where social services aspect should kick in. Because where there's shortfalls and statistics that prove that if we increase it to this amount and there's a shortfall here, what's government's injection into the whole thing? I hear the Premier and his team now go on 100% on this cost of living and the consumer protection once again. It is missing a critical step. I said it from the first time it was introduced, and I'm saying it now. You cannot have consumer protection without understanding the price index. A price index simply means, so you could say for gas, well, we're trying to minimize it and have it as low as $3 and as high as $5. That's the price index. But your basket of goods needs to be on the same index. Because if I go from one supermarket to the next, go to the mom and pop shop, nobody should go below this amount or above this amount. And that's how you protect the people. Because if you're saying, I have a basket of goods and you're charging $10 and I'm charging $5, more people are going to come by me. But what's going to happen to your business? Your bottom line is going. So that conversation needs to be fleshed out. There's nobody doing the statistics. There's nobody keeping records of these things. We are just doing things and hoping that it works. And when it doesn't work, because we don't have the necessary numbers and data behind it, then we find ourselves doing over. I used to criticize this government as the do-over government, because every time they do something, the people come back and they actually hear from the people or take the time to listen to people, and they have to go do it over again. But if you do it right the first time, you'll be able to do something else more meaningful.
All right, let's transition now into, the upcoming general election. Of course, with the NDP electing its new leadership team, I would anticipate that preparation has already begun. In speaking with the president and the chairman, yes, they would have both highlighted that the youth vote is going to be significant in the next general election. Do you share those views? And how significant do you think this youth vote is going to be?
I believe the youth vote is going to be extremely significant. I believe all voters' input and impact towards this next election is going to be significant. But the youth have a very important and critical part to play in the next general elections, because the dynamics of our country are evolving to the point where our youth population is almost matched, if not surpassed, the adult population, that 18 to 35 or 40-year-old population or demographic in our territory, they are more influential, they are more engaged, they are more involved, they are more hands-on with wanting to see better for their territory. So for us within the NDP, we are and we have established a very strong youth arm. And anybody, any young person out there, this is Melvin, Mitch, Turnbull telling you that you want to join a body, a party that not only sees you as a number or a name or statistics that we could say we're doing something for youth, but some place where we value your input and we will give you a seat at the table so that you can help steer the direction of this country for the next 10 to 15 to 20 years. The National Democratic Party is the party to be at, and I'm inviting you to come and join us. We will have the information coming out to you. Just come and be a part of, share your ideas, share your thoughts, and we will ensure that as a country, we set the trajectory like Honorable H.L. Stout did over 30 years ago before his death. Set a path where he understood that legacy is not about what you say about yourself, but what you do for the generations that come after you, they will remember you. And I believe that's what's important to us, to the people of the Virgin Islands, the voters, over the youth age, over the youth population. They want to see better. And I believe this move that we have made to reunify and reconnect with the National Democratic Party. I told the people, I'm home, I ain't going nowhere. I don't plan to go nowhere because CCT said, CCT is we. And I'm telling you, CCT, NDP is going to be for we too. NDP is going to be for the people of the Virgin Islands because we're stronger together. And that's what's most important to me.
Of course, we touched on the youth vote, but I couldn't ignore the senior vote. I know you're a strong voice for our seniors. Yes. How significant do you believe the senior vote is going to be? And of course, we would have taken note of recent amendments to the Elections Act that would introduce some provisions to make it easier for seniors to engage or persons with disabilities to engage in the democratic process in the upcoming election.
Yes, those proposals haven't been enacted yet because we still to go through the Elections Act in the House of Assembly. But seniors are our foundation. Our seniors are the one who paved the way for us. And we have to ensure that in their golden years, they're able to sustain a lifestyle that is comfortable, that is enjoyable, that still we could learn and glean from their wisdom and the experiences that they had to continue to guide us forward. Because having a vision isn't just about the youth, it's about a balanced approach, understanding where you came from, recognizing where you are, and then creating a pathway for the future. So our seniors, my seniors, I love them dearly. They are extremely important because they are the foundation of our territory. They are the bedrock, the backbones of this territory, and I will continue to value them. And I think everybody on the National Democratic Party understands how important that is. You know, I have a group of seniors in King Gardner Bay that we've started back, funded by myself and my family for the last year, with no assistance thus far from government. This is a seniors program that I'm talking about. Started with 4 persons up to 48 people right now. And the government is yet under social development to adopt this program to make it a part of their thing. Because now there's all kind of policies and procedures and reasons why it can't be done. But is that going to stop me? No. I'm going to seek the funding. I'm going to continue to go towards person in the business community to try to provide funding for this program, because you can't let persons that created this pathway for us to stand now just go by the wayside. You can't have persons who contributed towards the building of this territory in education, in government. Their pension hasn't increased, but the cost of living continues to increase between 4% and 6% every single year.
Do you have anything further you'd like to say on the pension situation? Because that was actually my next question.
Well, the pension situation right now, we have a situation where I've been asking this question for 11 years that I've been in the House. So what are we going to do with the retirement and pensions for the people of this territory. In the public service, there's a defined benefit plan where the government is the one contributing everything. Before I got into politics, I was part of a firm, leading a firm that did a study that said you need to move towards a defined contributory scheme where the employees and the employers make contributions into the pension plan so that when persons retire, whatever they have contributed or vested in, they have it to take away and continue their retirement. Right now, you get 25 years with government and you get a salary of 2/3 of your salary for the rest of your life. It's not sustainable. And we see right now we have unfunded debt from the pensions. If pensioners right now in the BVI, persons who are in the civil service or public service and attain that 25 years of service, if they all retire, we would have to have a completely different conversation because it's over a $200 million debt. But what do? We can't keep talking. When I asked the premier, this current premier, Honorable Natalia Wheatley, the question, we're putting a team together. It's going to be led by the Deputy Governor's office and this person and that. The studies have already been done. All you simply need to do, make a decision that you're going to start a defined contributory plan. That's the first thing. The second thing you do, find where the cutoff period is. Because you have persons in the system that are 10 years, 15 years in, 6 years. Where is the cutoff point that says from this point, we're moving towards that? If you have close to the 25 years, you might be able to have different benefits or become fully vested in the plan. But it's just simple decisions because here's the bottom line. What you would immediately do when you allow employees to make contributions into the pension plan, they're now a part of their own retirement and funding their own retirement is something that's been beneficial for them, as well as if they have family members or children, dependent children, they can put extra money into their plan for their retirement. Right now, everything is left to the government to do, and it's not sustainable, it's not functioning. For the last 11 years, I've asked this question, and we are nowhere closer than we were 11 years ago, because it's just a decision to be made and action to be taken.
Before we close, I just want to give you another opportunity for any message you might have for the people of District 2 and, of course, the wider community, given your current role in the NDP.
Well, I'll flip it. To the people of the Virgin Islands, I have been your servant. I have been here as a representative in this territory for the last 11 and a half years. I am grateful for every opportunity that God has allowed me and that you, the people, have allowed me to serve, because this BVI is bigger than me. The goal and the mission that I have is bigger than me. Where we can go as a territory, where we can continue to lead as a territory of the Virgin Islands is bigger than any one of us. And that once we understand the vision that we have, once we make a decision towards going and achieving that vision, and once we keep the passion, once we keep the love for each other, love community, and the responsibility and the discipline to understand that we can't just use the government funds as we feel like, but we're doing things to achieve specific goals. And once we achieve that goal, we're on to the next thing, because there's so much more that we can achieve. And I believe the people of the Virgin Islands need new leadership. And as a part of the National Democratic Party, with Honorable Penn, all the other members, Honorable Skelton, Honorable Walwyn, that are there, I know we are building a team and putting together a team that you will be comfortable and confident in, that we were willing to serve you. To the lovely people of my community in the 2nd District, I say to you, thank you. But the work continues. Being elected as the Deputy Chairman is another step towards where we want to go. But for us in our community, we know what we're going through. That's why on Monday, we're going to have our district community meeting starting on the 4th all the way to Thursday, where we'll have 4 different meetings in King Garden Bay, in Mayor's Estate, in Just Van Dyke, and in Bruce Bay, where I'll be presenting to you an update from the first meeting that we had at the beginning of the 2026. There's a lot to do, but I am committed with you to helping to achieve the things that we need, the necessary things for our community, the necessary things for our families, and most importantly, for the future generations yet to come. So I want to thank you, Jhaka, for this opportunity, Mrs. Donovan, for this opportunity to be here. And to the people of the Virgin Islands, I say to you, I'm here to serve, I'm here to lead, and I'm motivated to continue being a part of a BVI that we can all be proud of.
Thank you again so much for your time today.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for joining us. I'm Jhaka Wooding Donovan, hoping that you stay tuned to 284 Media for more great content.